questions we get very often at Well Women is, should I wear cleats or should I stick to the flat shoes? It's a personal choice for a lot of people, but I think it's also one of those things that really makes people scared when they first start getting into using the cleats. So let's have a look at them. These shoes here are what we'd probably call kind of like a spin shoe. They're a pretty soft shoe, a little bit like a runner. There's a little bit of flex in them, so they're pretty comfortable. But on the bottom, they've got these little cleats. We call these SPD cleats or mountain bike cleats. They're nicely recessed into the bottom of the shoe. You can move them up and down on these little sliders here so that you get them positioned perfectly on where you need them on your foot. So you can really adapt them into a position that suits you. The really good thing about these kind of cleats is that the shoes are really easy to walk around in because they're recessed. So you've got plenty of grip on the rest of the shoe. The shoes tend to be a little bit more flexible. Sure, you can get some much more expensive ones that are pretty stiff and they still have these cleats, but these are a really good choice if you're getting on and off your bike, particularly as you go to the cafe, which of course is really important. The other kind of cleat, let's have a look at that. These are road shoes. They're a much stiffer shoe. Very often they'll have a carbon base on the bottom of them, or carbon sole. You'll have adjusters like this BOA dial, which can dial in, press it in, dial it in like this to tighten the shoe, so you can adjust it while you're riding, if you're clever. The cleat on these, as you can see, is much bigger. This is a road cleat, so kind of sticking out from the bottom of the shoe. So you can imagine walking around on these is not quite as comfortable. Pretty slippery too, especially if you get onto a wet surface sometimes or on a bit of a slope. You have to be really careful. These are also not quite as grippy as the other style of shoes either. They can be pretty slippery when you're walking around, so be careful in the cafes, it can be very embarrassing. The stiffness in the shoes also varies between the different sorts of shoes. I think the road shoes, you can actually perhaps get a little bit more transfer of that power into the pedal stroke, perhaps than what you can do on some of these softer shoes that are a bit more suited to some recreational riding. It's a personal choice what you go for. I personally really love the road cleats and I feel very comfortable in them, except for when I'm in the cafe and there's a slippery, polished concrete floor. That's cleats for you. See you later.